Today's guest ran her own advertising agency for over a decade. She launched Swedish food brands into UK markets. She taught design and marketing. Then everything changed. After a divorce and moving back from Southeast Asia with her children, Ingela Johansson didn't just rebuild her life. She reimagined what success could look like. Ingela founded ZenArt. It's a creative meditation program that helps people reconnect with play, curiosity, and the joy of creating. Her book, Create the Flow, won an award at the Golden Doors Awards in 2021. She has taught art in 8 countries. But here's what makes Ingela's stories remarkable. She believes we got it backwards. We don't need more tools for being productive. We need permission to have fun. As a mentor for Mentors for Women, Ingela challenges perfectionism. She helps women shift from striving to thriving, from control to curiosity, from proving themselves to enjoying themselves. This is about career changes, creative courage, and why the most useful thing you might do today is pick up a paintbrush. I am Virpi Tervonen. I'm proud to be one of the mentors at Mentors for Women. Today, I'm speaking with Ingela Johansson, who also is a mentor at Mentors at Women. She is also an artist, entrepreneur, and woman who's teaching us that creativity isn't luxury. If you have ever felt guilty for wanting to play or wondered if you could turn your creativity into something meaningful, this conversation is for you. Ingela, you were running a successful advertising agency, teaching, and then life threw you a curveball. Take me back to 2016. What was going on within you when you decided to start ZenArt?
Thank you, Virpi, for that introduction. Play really is important because, as you were saying, I was working in the field of being creative. And I was sitting in Malaysia and trying to come up with this illustration that was supposed to have a lot of soul in it. It was actually to illustrate a company's soul. And I had so many papers next to me of things being not good. And I was far out in the countryside and I was realizing I was running out of material and time. So for some reason, I ended up meditating, taking a walk in nature and meditating. And when I came back from the meditation, it took me like 5 minutes. And there it was, the right illustration. And then I was like, wow. Because as we work in the creative field, we have a lot of deadlines and you can't really produce anything good when you're in the stress mindset. Stress doesn't make us really, it makes us much worse and it blocks ideas. So I think that is also one of these reasons why play is so good, because it's another way of tapping back into this feeling. It's actually funny because I've started a YouTube channel this year and the most viewed video, it's the one where I'm having a play day in my studio in nature in Sweden. So I love that.
That sounds a lot of fun. And you said that the only people, including adults, who don't play, they are depressed people. So I think our natural state is joy. And that's why we are so attracted to playfulness and play.
Yeah. And it makes work a lot easier. It's like when you feel like you have no energy left, because we think so much about time and like putting in the hours and all of this. But if I'm putting in 10 hours feeling really depleted, I'm probably not making great creative results anyhow, even if I push myself to put in all the hours. So for me, it's better to have this fun break and come back, sit focused for 1 hour, I love those, like 1 hour of full focus. You can do so much.
Absolutely. We could talk so much about what time is. It's not linear. And secondly, that hours are not equal. It
Yeah.
is about your energy more than time. You have had an incredibly varied career: advertising agency owner, educator, international artist, and now the founder of ZenArt. What are some of the moments you realized you needed to make a big change?
And probably the same way my father did, I was always constantly working. I was working so much that I didn't really see what was going on in our home with our family and my relationship and how I was treating myself. So I think I was using just being busy the whole time, not to see those things. And I think that was my biggest wake-up call in life. That's also why I need my breaks. I need these other things in life to fulfill me as well, not only work. There has to be a balance.
It sounds like you were using the busyness, the constant working as a coping mechanism. But how did you wake up from that illusion of everything is
Yeah.
fine and just covering it with this overworking and overstretching?
Yeah. I think you wake up slowly. There's many small tidbits. And then I was actually standing like in the underground waiting for a train. And there was this poster that I saw. I was like a checkered board, and then it had numbers and percentages. And for some reason, I converted this in my brain to the things I was doing. I don't know, I think it was around 80% work, and the rest was basically family, taking care of the house, the kids. And then there was all the like around 12% that I never got to do every week. And I think that's the day where I really understood that this needs to change. And from that, there started to be a lot of different changes in small steps before it ended in the big one, which was the moving back to Sweden, divorce, changing my children's life again, moving them back, and so forth, the big changes. I think before the big changes, there's thousands of smaller ones. There's like a long transitions, even if I think most people just see the main big one, there's so many more. So learning to see those changes and writing them down so I would see them again and really start to understand them. I think the biggest shift I did was starting to listen to myself every day with this practice of creative meditation.
It sounds like you were starting to use those past little awareness glimpses as a tool. They're like building blocks. Moving from Asia back to Sweden with your children during a divorce, whilst also building a new company, that takes courage and grit.
Yeah.
How did creative practice help you through that time?
Oh gosh, I would say it helped me to survive because it all actually also started that we had to do it. I was married to my second husband, and the other thing that put everything at its tipping point was that my children's father passed away, and they did not get to say goodbye to him. He was far away in another country, and it was sudden. My son especially fell into a really deep depression. So there was just like no thinking anymore. It was just realizing that, okay, he needs another kind of help, because we tried where we were in Malaysia at the time, but it wouldn't work with the school, the system, the therapist we went to. So basically, we just had to. And sometimes life shows up like that. But then I was surprised how much I actually enjoyed coming back. Rediscovering seasons was one thing, and reconnecting to nature. And I think if I hadn't had this process of listening into myself every day, using like the meditation, creativity, and reflection, I don't think I would have been able to, nurture myself at the same time as rebuilding life in a way. So it was really essential. And then I took other help as well. I went to therapy. And again, those self-reflective questions were really good to bring to therapy. Because I think that a lot of us, we go to coaches, we go to therapists, we go to a lot of great programs, but they can sometimes lead us a bit off our path if we don't have this process or system to actually also first listen to yourself and start to understand yourself, see your own patterns as well. So I think those two together can be very powerful.
Thank you for your share.
Yeah.
It definitely took a lot of courage. And thank you for your share how creative practice did help. A variety of different kind of creative practices helped.
Yeah.
You spent 7 years in Southeast Asia. How did those years shape what you believe about creativity, success, and what actually matters in life?
Oh, wow. That's a big and good question. I'm so grateful for those years. I learned so much. To me, it's always a great pleasure to have been able to collaborate with artists from many different countries. I had students at my classes in Singapore from all over the world. And it was amazing just to have the color discussions. I remember I had this Japanese student who showed up with yarn. It's like small pieces of yarn. She had 2,000 colors with her because she wanted to get the right spring green. And then she meant Japanese spring green. And it started this feeling that we are really connected color-wise to the landscape that surrounds us and the landscape that we were born in. I think a lot of the roots in the art that I did then and that I still do, it actually came from all those learnings. Also about like how you share art on Bali and how you can really create from your heart. There's so many things. It would take a day to talk about it all together. I think that also experiencing Singapore, which is both super modern, forward thinking, but also has these traditional roots from several cultures in this teeny tiny physical space, it's just mind blowing and very inspiring. I started my artistic career in Singapore and it was just amazing, I would say. Yeah, very happy. And I should say, today I have a daughter. She's now a lawyer in the US. She's working in a tech AI company that are building that for law firms in the US. And she has an amazing life. She's living her dream. And I think that idea of living in different countries spun from our time in Southeast Asia.
Your mission is to inspire people to be creative for the pure fun of it. But most of us were taught that fun is what you do after the work is done. Why do you think we've got this backwards?
Here in Sweden, I think we have this, like my father, if I would sleep until 9 o'clock on a Saturday, he would come and say, you wasted your whole day sleeping. What can you do now? So it's like a probably Lithuanian, maybe, this like how we look at work. And then I was like, okay, so I'm taking all these risks, building my own company, working for myself, but I still have these rigid things about you start 8, you have your coffee at 9, like work, like I would be working for someone else. And I was in a big co-working center when I moved back. So I started to think, okay, instead I take this 2 hours super focused. Then I took a walk in the park, came back, did 2 more hours super focus. So like I was slowly starting to figure out that I could get so much more done in 4 hours super focus than a whole day just trying and feeling that energy. Because again, it comes back to how we feel in what we can actually produce. And as an artist, I would not I wouldn't open my studio door today feeling like that, because that's not the feeling I want to bring into a painting that someone would buy and put in their home. I want people to bring in feelings of hope, courage, and all the possibilities. So I need to feel that before I start painting. So for me, when I do my artist work, it's essential. And I think trying just for a few minutes to do something that you think is fun and to actually see the difference, because you have to notice on your own. I do a lot of like workshops for companies here, and they might have this long vision day. And for 1 hour, they get to paint together and they get to laugh together. When you start to work a lot with fluid colors as well, it shifts something, and the discussion shifts, and what they talk about shifts, and the vision becomes easier because they change their energy. So when they sit down again after the painting and start to work, it's different. So there is something about this. And I mean, I come from Sweden. We have this fika culture. And a lot of us work from home today. So fika with yourself might not be as fun as fika with all your friends. So now I have to plan a fika with a friend in between. That can also be play and fun. So put on one song and dance to it. Can shift your mood in, what is the song? 3 minutes. I love that. I think we dare to do like small tweaks and see how we feel about it. And then we can take it from there. Do you remember that old TV series, Ally McBeal?
Oh, yes.
She had these songs, right? That she was playing for herself. And I have this song, a special song every year that I play every time I get a order in my business. It's a fun thing because it wouldn't be any fun to go and ring in a bell and everyone else would hear it. It's just me that would hear it nowadays because I work on my own. So I have my win song. That's one of those. And it's a fun thing. And I have those things I also get when I reach certain goals that I put for myself. Yeah.
Thank you. What came up to me when you were sharing about you organizing these workshops for corporations, companies, and you see how people start to open up when they are allowed to do painting, which is completely unrelated to what they do at job, and that they actually open up. So firstly, all business is always business with people, no matter what level. It's people to people, and how you feel is really important in these interactions. This has actually been shown scientifically. When we restrict ourselves with just a logical brain, we actually exclude a lot of brain functionality. It helps you to utilize more of your mind, your brain power, when you feel good and also you connect with other people in an easier way. You are connected within yourself and you are stay connected with others. So it sounds that you're bringing emotion back to work.
Oh, that's a good point. But yes, we need our full self to show up, especially if we're going to a meeting with someone. If it's digital like this or physical, we want to bring our full self. And if it's an important business deal, oh my gosh, we don't want to come with off ourselves or feeling stressed. We want to be present. So taking that little time in the morning to do like I don't know, it can be a walk. It can be a song that you love where you're just being present in that song, thinking about nothing else. There's so many small things that you can do that actually can shift everything. Because I've been taking a lot of programs that are based in positive psychology as well. And I remember one figure, I don't know if it's actually that figure, but it said you play around 40% of yourself when you're like in your worst stress profile. And maybe it's not 40%, but when I look at my results, I can feel that it could probably be 40%, because usually you make mistakes and then you have to go redo the whole thing again. So I really remind myself every time I feel like I don't have time in the morning that, yeah, I do have time. Even if I start work 10 minutes later, it will save me hours during the day because I show up without stress. So it's really the biggest time saver I think I've ever experienced, is taking the time for that. It was one of my students that actually took creative meditation, like one of the first students I had. She said, when you meditate daily, and we're talking 5 minutes, it doesn't change what happens in your life, but it does change how you show up to it. And that's exactly how I felt as well. It's like giving yourself a chance to show up in the best version of yourself, basically.
You talk about shifting from perfection to curiosity. So, why do you think so many women struggle with perfectionism? And how does creative meditation help with that?
I think we probably all struggle with perfectionism. A lot of people feel that if they are putting their time into painting, I'm running this art club in the evenings sometimes, and then people want to learn to paint like me and they want to learn it in 3 weeks. And I'm like, sure. But actually, you need to let go of that feeling, perfectionism, and actually just show up. It's like saying that I want to go to the gym 3 times for 3 weeks and then I want to be perfectly fit. It doesn't work that way, does it? So instead, maybe being happy that you actually created, that you put in the time to create, instead of just looking for, oh, it doesn't look as good as the person next to me, maybe look at, does this drawing or painting actually tell me something about how I'm feeling? Are there clues in this? Because sometimes I notice you can even lie to yourself unconsciously, not in a conscious way, but you can't when you're painting. And it's so interesting because those things always show up. So instead of just thinking about, is this a perfect, what is a perfect painting? I have no clue. But just look at, are there clues in here for me? Because the painting part, when I do creative meditation, is much more about getting in touch with my feelings and my intuition. So when I look at the painting, I look much more for, what does it tell me about how I'm feeling right now or what's going on? Because there are usually clues for me to find out. And that makes it a play and exciting as well. And that's what I write down in the reflection part. So I write down the clues that I get. And sometimes it's just a more relaxing feeling, and other times I'm learning things about myself. Things I want more of and things I want to let go of.
It sounds like the perfectionism comes from comparison and competition as well. So we think like success is external, and when you actually start looking within you, that would help with perfectionism. So the struggle is about looking the success outside and turning it and looking within yourself and connecting to that first.
And remember that it's hard today. We have this information overflow, right? We go on Instagram and there's thousands of people making these amazing paintings that take them like, I don't know, 30 seconds when you look at a reel, which is obviously sometimes not the whole picture, but that's the picture we see. And we see always, oh, you can do this or this. There's so many things. So we forget to compare with, where was I 6 months ago or a year ago? Instead, we're busy looking, and everyone seems to be doing the right thing except for us. It's quite easy to get into that today because I think it's probably harder than ever not to compare. And I think you're so right that it can definitely stem from that. And also like how we feel about ourselves, right? And what we allow for ourselves. I think this guilt around art for a lot of women that I've been teaching in different classes has been like, first you need to get everything else done, not only work, but also the dishes and all the stuff that needs to be done in a day. And then you can turn to your creative projects with 1% left of your full energy that you started the day with. And you feel guilty for even taking that time instead of watching a movie with your spouse or whatever. That guilt needs to shift as well.
Guilt is very low energy state. It actually then further drains. It's like energy leech.
Yeah. Guilt and shame and those. Yeah.
You have said that at busy times, we lose track of our purpose. We have so many tools for work and planning, but not tools to have fun. What do you say to women who feel like they cannot afford to play and have fun?
I think we've been like taught that hard work will get you there, or there's a lot of conditioning about how you become successful. And I think there should be more talk about how stress actually makes you act and feel and the results you get from working under stress. Because there is a lot of science today about it. And so if you think about it, we have all sat down to rework something that we tried to do under stress. I'm sure we have. So it's not always the best way to work. And I think just we could actually take the cards because they are a fun way to play in a very short time. Maybe you would like to try to play with me, Virpi, because these morning cards are.
Yeah. I'm for it.
We're for it. Let's try. It's not easy on Zoom, but let's try. So here I have a card deck. I hope you can see it, even if we have this background.
I can see it. And these are the cards your cards for play and fun, isn't it?
Yes, these are my, exactly. And to bring in some creative inspiration if you want to sit down to write in your diary, but you can also use them in a meeting when you're meeting people for the first time and so on. So, nice. Well, I'll try to move my little finger and you say stop wherever it feels like there's a good
stop. That's a good card. I feel that that's it.
Okay, let's see. Whoops. It's a bit about what we've been talking about. Let's see. Small daily habits.
Okay.
Small daily improvements over time lead to stunning results, and it's by Robin Sharma. And if there's one thing that I know it's true, it's this one. I think we forget how much we can actually get done with just like one focused hour on one goal over some time. And we need to go back and actually also look at what have I achieved? Because if there's one thing I noticed, I actually forgot about a lot of things that I was achieving. But of course, I want to ask you as well. What do you feel around this card? Or maybe we can put it in there we can say it.
Yeah, the habit. Yeah. I am very much aligned to that. And what you have said many times during this interview as well is about journaling, about reflection, writing down things, because we just tend to forget that where we were, who we were, how things were for us, if we don't actually write it down. Because without the evidence, I always call that, we all have that judge in our mind, right? So it's like when we get in front of that judge, we actually have written evidence to show for the judge. That's not correct. So I think with the small habits, it's about not thinking like it is so true that we would love to get the instant result. It would be lovely to
Yes.
become a perfect painter in 3 weeks or learn a new language or build a business in just a few days.
Yeah.
But it is actually surprising how much when you focus on little habits and choose very small number of little habits, when you repeatedly do that and you actually reflect on, okay, this week, what was the progress? This month, this quarter, and you have that written evidence at the end of the year, I've surprised myself, and I know that everyone can surprise themselves how much progress they can make with these little habits. Like a lot of these big changes, like you mentioned before, they appear like they happen very quickly. But the thing is that it's simply a manifestation of those little habits done consistently, and it doesn't need perfectionism. Also, little habits with imperfection yield outcomes.
I know this positive psychologist called Tal Ben-Shahar. He talks about permission to be human. And we are human, so we are all imperfect, actually, all of us. I haven't met a perfect human yet, and I met a lot. So, yeah. And I think that seeing these steps, it's one of the main reasons why it's so good to have a good mentor. Also, when you set your goals, to actually have all the small steps on this ladder so you can actually see them. To work on that together with someone, I think, is a great thing for having a mentor, actually.
I
But
love the
we
I
even
love
have this negative bias, don't we? So I think it's automatically we remember all the mistakes we did. We don't have to really reinforce that. I have one exercise that I love, and it's about instead of painting your inner critic, you paint your inner hero, the one that really supports you. We have to reinforce those parts in us.
So on Mentors for Women, what drew you to become a mentor with Mentors for Women? Was there a moment when you thought, yes, this is where I want to contribute?
Yes, it is. I think I've noticed that one of the things that I'm good at is actually getting people into creativity again and getting people into maybe finishing that book that has been sitting in the drawer. But over time, and all these small steps, and that is something I've done quite a few times. It could be the same with a budding artistic career or this learning that you really want to get out to the world in an online course. I have so many lessons and bumps on the road to teach. So I think it would be an important part to share that. And I would also be like the mentor saying, bringing it down to manageable pieces to have that discussion on, because one of the things that is so easy to do is you think you can do this in this amount of time. I think we need to talk to ourselves, listen to ourselves, but then of course we need 4 different stages in our lives, different friends, different mentors, different coaches. I'm very grateful to be a part of Mentors for Women.
You have been mentoring and also being menteed. So from those experiences, I would first want to know what didn't work. What were the worst mentoring experiences that you have experienced yourself?
Starting a creative business, having a mentor that was an engineer, and he was really good at building plans for large engineering companies. That didn't work really well. And so I think it's also depending on where you are in life, like when you have a certain mentor. So I think it also needs to match on the step you're in.
Mm.
I had this mentor who was telling me for 20 years before I actually got started working on reflection, that reflection is important, Ingela, because I was too busy. I was just running around. Having this advertising agency with quite a lot of people working for me as well, I didn't have any time for self-reflection. Should have listened to her much sooner. Life would have been better.
You still remember her advice. So she was a mentor that put that into your mind, and clearly it had a good impact. It just manifested later.
I think sometimes those like life-changing conversations, I usually need to take in and go and mold and think about it. And then it's, whoops, okay, this is what he or she meant. And then it starts to manifest in real life. It makes a good mentorship relationship. I think it's a bit about being good at listening. At least if you're a mentor, I think you need to be good at listening at first, to pose the right questions, to see where this person is really at and how they're feeling. And also then take an honest evaluation if you are the right mentor in this case or not. When you go out from a session, you should feel energized and calm, that you feel like, okay, it's these 3 things that I'm going to focus on now, not these 100 million things. It's like these 3 things. And I've learned this and this. It should be like you go out of the session feeling you gain some clarity, some understanding, some wisdom, but you also feel like that good energy. I think that's so important.
What I love about what you just said is not just the skills, it's about also how you feel. What is your energy? Is it high energy level? So energy and feelings plus the stage.
Yeah.
And of course, the circumstance like the skills, what it is that you want from the mentoring.
I would definitely be a better mentor for anyone in the more creative space. Probably not the guy starting a new engineering company, even if that is how I was raised with my father doing that. But still, I would probably be better in the creative space.
What is the one message you want every woman listening to remember?
Take the time to listen to yourself, find any way to do it that works for you, but take the time.
Thank you for this interview. Loved having you.
Thank you, Virpe. Thank you very much.